The birds specifically, in turn, were unaffected otherwise, growing in size with their source of sustenance, their beaks growing thicker so as to be able to pierce or crush the shell of their prey who would defend themselves with the massive claws they equally used to feed. These monsters of the New World were still untamed, but as with all creatures, could be fended against in time and with numbers and skill as travelers would learn at the expense of the lives lost in the years after the cage was opened, after the air was safe for their kind again. It was soon after the first settlements were established that bandits began looting all travelers or those who journeyed the road for supplies. Supplies of every kind quickly became a commodity in a world unburdened with society or standing civilization outside of the caged city. Salt would be bartered with specific regard since the Aloe used it for ritual purposes, staining their blue flesh a tone of peach on a daily basis with patterns that ranged from simple to elegant to show their belief in the gods they brought with them from across the stars before their cities crashed into the old world that had rejected them. Endrymion had been offered travel in payment for the protection of his hosts, a jovial merchant couple with whom Endry had gotten along with quite well, their long, dark wooden wagons, sturdy with a single window tied shut from the outside from which they could peddle the rest of their cargo Endry had been tasked with protecting. The stores of herbs and books the wagon carried within. His moving abode was constantly filled with the sounds of bottles and jars while in motion. In a weird sort of rhythm, it could almost sound like rain falling, which helped the man rest. Unfortunately, Endry was still feeling largely unrested from the long night he had spent on watch guarding his benefactors, while they all stopped throughout the dark nights. The night had been uneventful and uninteresting. The guard spent his time crafting a small wooden spoon from a nearby branch, leaving his hands worn and dry from the coarse grain of the wood. But this is what kept his mind occupied and focused, helping him stay awake until the first light when the couple awoke and his shift ended. They would wake him if they saw danger coming in their direction. Endry chose instead to curl up and rest on the mats that carpeted the floor while its occupants rested.